Hey there, and welcome to my channel. I am your host, Instinct Johari, and well, it's been a while since my last video. I am so sorry about that, guys. I've had a lot going on, and I'm planning to explain that at some point in this video or in the next one. What's a girl to do, though? I've missed Mermaid, I've missed June, so let's do a summer mermaid-inspired doll. We've got a lot to do, so to the workstation! Welcome to where I went for inspiration, Country Critters, located in Suffolk County on Route 112, just south of Sunrise Highway. You walk in and these beautiful displays are the first thing that catch your eye, especially that waterfall. Oh my god. There's ducks, there's koi, there's huge fish tanks. I mean, huge. These are like some of the biggest fish tanks I've seen outside of an aquarium. I mean, look at that big shark. Then you also have like other ones on the other side that have stingrays or manta rays, I think. Stingrays. Any kind of fish supply you need for saltwater fish or freshwater fish, they've got it. They've got turtles. They've got goldfish. They've got coral. Look at these displays, man. They have them under black light to make all the colors pop. It's so groovy. I love bringing my fit kids here, especially when they were little. We would bring them here instead of going to the aquarium. Do not put your fans in the fish tanks. There are shark pups in that tank. You would think you wouldn't have to post that, but anyway, coral, more fish. They even have fresh plants, freshwater and saltwater plants to go and make a more naturalistic display. They also have things for reptiles and birds. They even have birds for sale, including parrots. They have beardies, lizards, snakes. They have red-tailed boas. Smile, you're on camera. Yes, I have permission to film here from the owners. I asked before I walk through here with the camera. They have a room just for the birds. They have a room just for, well, they have some kittens for adoption. They also have all kinds of different rodents. Let's get to the project. So now that I'm nice and inspired, this was Mermaid when I started this project, which is why I went there. So let's use a Laguna G3 doll. Let's start with the prep. We're going to remove her earrings, her pom-poms, and her all the elastics out of her hair first. Now, I'm so sorry that this video took so long, guys. I did promise an explanation. On May 1st, I was rear-ended. I was in a car accident. It was minor. I'm okay. But okay, this buzzer, I do have to say I really love because it got the hair so nice and short. Anyway, the result of my accident is I have an injury. See? Really short. Let's put her head in boiling water so we can get it off. Delightful has a great way to take this off. It's 2 bumps, so take it a little, working over 1 bump at a time. See, there's my arm brace. I have tennis elbow, which means I have a small partial tear of the connective tissue of my tendon in my right elbow. And of course this doll, oh my gosh, the upper half came off of the lower half, but luckily the joint wasn't damaged. So once the head was off, I rewarmed the lower half of the body after checking the joint. This will make it easier to reconnect if this happens to you, and it's perfectly fine. It works just as well as it did before. I just know now that when I do these, I'm going to have to be really careful with those upper bodies. Let's get started. Because of my injury, I had to work slower, so it's a good thing I have really good tools. The Dollplanet has a great rerouting kit, and it came with these little hemostat pliers. Oh my god, this made getting the hair out so much easier, as did getting it as short as I did. I mean, look at that! It's great. I actually was really happy with how fast that went, despite my injury. Now let's take off all the factory paint. Because of my injury, as I said, I started this in May, which meant I was making it for May. I thought, oh, I'll have it done by June. No problem. Little did I know. Nuh-uh. My elbow had other plans. Once all the factory paint is off, I removed the legs. They pop off pretty easy, and the ball joints were still pretty intact. I think they made it so that the legs can pop back on if they pop off, which is a great feature. Next, I took a Sharpie and marked off where I want to cut off some more of her body. This isn't going to be my usual kind of mermaid, and I think you're going to see why when I start removing more. So first things first, I took my Dremel and I basically used it to cut off pretty much all of that part of of the body, so that we just have like from the hip down, the top of the hip down. That's all we really need on this doll. Poor thing. She's already been through the works, but now it's time to drill. So first I drilled 6 holes. Be careful. I accidentally went through it and hit my thumb here. Ouch! It's okay. I just I went upstairs, cleaned it, put a band-aid on it. Now it's time to widen those holes so that the ball and joint armature will fit. I'm not going to do a normal mermaid, as I said. This one is octopus and Ursula inspired. So we've got more than one ball joint armature to attach. So we're going to attach 6. I would have done 8, but there was just not enough space. Maybe if I had a couple different connectors, I might have managed it, but 6 is fine. That's plenty. Next, after I hot glued it all in and the hot glue was set, I took 2-part epoxy sculpt clay and I began making that addition permanent. This looks so cool already. I also added a little bit more onto the hips, just because she needs more hip. She really does for this project. She's going to need bigger hips. I also went ahead and used water to smooth out the addition. And then I cleaned off the parts that I didn't want that on. Wow, this looks so cool. We're going to let that dry. These tentacles are great, but they're just not long enough. So I got more armature. I had to order it and wait for it to arrive, of course. And using my jeton pliers, I went ahead and added these so they were the right length that I wanted them to be. I want them to be super long. I want them to look like Ursula's, where they could go up and make like a heart shape above the head if possible. This is great. I love it. And look how bendable it is. It's much better than wire because I don't have to worry about it breaking. Once that's all done, let's wrap that in quilt batting. You can get this at your stores. I would say not Hobby Lobby. I would say go to Joann's, but Joann's sadly closed while I was making this doll. I was so sad. But there's lots of different places to order quilt batting online. And also, you can find it, I think, also at Michael's. They're starting to carry a lot of the stuff that Joann's had because, well, people still need this stuff. Look at these tentacles. Oh my gosh. It looks so good already. Sorry, I get excited. And look, it looks a lot like an octopus from underneath. Next, let's add fabric. So I took 2 different fabrics, put one underneath and one on top. I put a hole in the center of the one on top, lined it up, and I started cutting. I don't really have a pattern for this. I just was kind of freehanding it. This is like a KP Style Creations half art doll. So if you've ever watched KP Creations, you know what I mean. Means we're going to cut it out to the shape that we need. Then we're going to pin it, in my case, because I like to pin. And then I took a minute and attached the fabric directly to the body using a little bit of hot glue just to keep it in place. Next, we're going to sew all of this using the ladder stitch, which took a very long time, and my elbow made me take a lot of breaks on this. Basically, I fold the edge of the fabric over and I go back and forth like the rungs of a ladder. This is a graph that my daughter made for me. Isn't that cool? It kind of explains it really well. If you need to, pause it, look it over a little bit more closely. But basically, we're just going back and forth like the rungs of a ladder. So you do a stitch on once, going through part of one side, then you go to the other side and you do the same thing. And then you go up a little bit further, back, forth, and you end up with a really nice clean seam at the end. See? Don't those look great? I love how this looks! Oh my gosh! Next, let's make that fabric addition a little bit more permanent with some epoxy sculpt. And we're going to build up the hips just a little bit more. She needs a little more hip to go with all of this tentacling goodness. Next, I start sculpting on her top. I want to give her a seaweedy top, and I can't make that really out of fabric very easily. I could try, but yeah, it's just easier to sculpt it in this case. So I started with the front, and once I was happy with how it was built up, I smoothed it out with some water and a fingertip. I should be wearing gloves. I was out of gloves at this point and needed to buy more. I have bought more since, but please protect your skin. You can develop a resin allergy from touching resin that's uncured. Same thing like with gel nail polish. They call it contact dermatitis. Next, I sculpted on the back and did the same thing. Now I'm going to start with just doing the basic outlines of the seaweed. Then once it's all cured, I went in with an awl and I added finer details. I love how this came out. It looks so cool. And it looks so seaweedy, and yet it's perfect with all scale. I couldn't have done better. I don't think I could have done any better unless I used a 3D printer. Isn't that great? Oh my goodness, I love this. But before we paint, we need to smooth out that bottom piece. So mostly off camera, I went ahead and buffed it till it was nice and smooth. Next, I went ahead and started with painting. I was very careful not to hit the fabric too much. I did not want to take any shine off the fabric. If you're, when you're building up your appendages on your dolls with over the armature, I suggest being aware of your fabric thickness that you're going to use. A thicker fabric means it's going to come out even thicker, so you may want to use less matting than I did here. In this one, I use a very thin fabric. Next, Lumiere paints. I love these Lumiere acrylic paints. These are great for painting fabric too, by the way. In fact, this is mostly meant for fabric, but they're acrylic also, so they also stick to plastic and to resin. Not all of their paints do that, but the particular ones that I'm going to list in the material in the description box below this will list all the ones I used, and these ones I have used multiple times on fabric and plastic, and they work for both. If you use it on fabric, you have to heat set it. That's the only thing. But on plastic, it sets perfectly fine on its own. Next, I added a little bit of shading to the top, and then I added highlights to it because even though that one is a color shifting one, I love it. It looks like a fish scale. I also did the arms the same way. I did the fins, the nails, and the scales. We have to do the rainbow goodness. And then I started on rerouting. These are two different nylon fabrics. One is fluffy, that's the white one, and the other one is just a nice standard one in clear skies. The fluffy one is literally called fluffy white. And it's very fluffy. It's almost like using yarn. It's a little coarser in texture, but I loved it. I also used my rerouting tools that I got from the Dollplanet, which saved on time because I didn't have to stop and cut the needles, which I really cannot do right now. My grip is getting stronger again, but oh, look, my nails changed. Okay, this reroute took longer than a day or so. This took like several days. Anyway, I also have already put Galaxy glue in through the neck hole and let it dry. So next, we're going to mask it off for our face up. As I was saying, the rerouting tool, I couldn't have done this reroute without it this time. I highly recommend them. It saved me so much time. My grip is getting better, but thanks to physical therapy, but I'm a long way from being fully healed. So once it's all masked off, I put on a couple coats of Mr. Superclear, and of course my camera lost the first part of the face up. I am so sorry. So I've already done the initial blushing. I've already did some eyeshadow above the eyes. I decided to do white over all of the eye to help things stand out more. And next I went in with I want to say a peach color for the eye waterline, and then I drew in the eyeliner line using watercolor pencils. Sorry, I think I'm a little nervous today. Talking about my injury has been hard. I really don't like being injured. I pushed through just about every injury I've ever had. And yes, I've had physical therapy and stuff before, but a lot of the times I've just learned to live with some of the after effects, because there's some injuries that no matter what, they're going to hurt sometimes, even after you're fully healed. And I've had to learn to say that's okay. For her eye color, I decided to go with gray this time. Just for something different. I'm thinking this character is Ursula's daughter. So we're going to say it's Ursula's daughter, but she's not quite like her mother. Okay, she obviously takes after her mother body-wise, but her colors are different, and I imagine she's got a bubblier personality. And not only that, but unlike her mom, she actually genuinely likes to help people. Isn't that cool for a character? I really had Ursula on my mind the entire time I was working on this. Plus, at this point, we're already into Pride Month, and I'm looking at every day at the calendar going, why am I not done yet? It's my injury. It slowed me down so much, and I apologize that it was so long in between posts, guys. But this is reality. Sometimes real life throws us a massive curveball, and we have to kind of roll with it and realize that we have limitations that we can't always push past. And this was that lesson for me this time. There's also some other changes going on in my life. For instance, in September, I'm going to be starting beauty school. After I finished with a bunch of details on the eyes, including drawing the pupils and stuff, I decided to paint the ears to match the fins on her arms. And I love how that came out. I think that makes them stand out so much more, and it looks so cool. I love these fishy fins for her ears. So if you're ever going through a rough time or anything, and you're a doll customizer or despite anything, just know that, you know, things do get better. It's just sometimes it just takes more time than we'd like. So on that note, just know that my content may be slowed down for a while because I'm going to be learning some new things at beauty school, which I think I will add to my doll customizing, but it's also to help pay for these videos. Making these videos, I'm not monetized. I'm not getting any money from making these videos. This is all just for the love of making dolls and doing my thing. And at this point, I decided I needed to darken up the edge of the iris because, frankly, it just wasn't standing out. And I needed more contrast. But honestly, my family and I are looking at our finances and saying, I need to go back to work. And so this is my way of doing that. I'm going to start with going to beauty school because it's hard for me to find a job, and I'd like to be able to set my own hours. And I think if I become a hairstylist, I'll be able to do that. I may not be able to do that straight away. We'll see. But I think once I have some experience under my belt, I'll be able to rent a booth or open my own salon, and we'll see. And then I'll still be able to do stuff like this. In the meantime, it's just going to be a little more spaced out. And I apologize, but please hang in there with me and check me out when you can. I also drew in the lower lashes, and I decided to make them kind of clumpy and poofy. I don't know why. I think I was watching a Delightful video and I was like, I really like that shape. I kind of want to try it and see if I like it, and I loved it on this doll. It was just perfect for her. Plus, I have an idea for at the ends of those eyelashes that will be kind of both fish-like and at the same time just fun. I also added highlights. Doctoring up the nostrils. At this point, it's just about time for another coat of Mr. Superclear. And I just kept building up details. I also did the crease of the lips, and I added more to the edges of the lips just to help define the edges. I also darkened up the top lip and the bottom lip a little bit more. The top lip was having trouble showing up on camera, I'm sorry. But it is there, I promise. You'll see it in the photos later. So, on that note, I would love to see stuff that you guys are creating. If this tutorial helps you, I would love to see anything that you guys create. So please tag me on Instagram. I'm at Dancing Johari, all one word, Johari. Oh, and I also used a little bit of pastels or eyeshadow to bring out the creases on the ears. So if you guys would create a doll using my tutorials, or even if you're using somebody else's tutorials, if you just feel like tagging me, please do so on Instagram and on YouTube. I would love to see what you guys make. I really would. And if you guys just enjoy watching doll creation and would like to own one, I am currently selling some dolls on Etsy. I'll probably be adding some new dolls soon. I can't say I'm going to add this one because I just love how she came out. I don't think I could part with her, at least not anytime soon. She's a really cool doll. I also decided to take the eyeliner a little bit further this time. I wanted to give it more of a corner and an edge. Don't think I've really done that before. And I love how it came out. I also added some highlights. This is how I do my belly dancer makeup. I do like white at that corner closest to the tear duct. And then I do more blushing and darker colors and shading. At this point, I think I decided I was going to do 3D lashes because she just deserves some 3D lashes. But I did give her 2 little lashes on top. And then I realized that I can't use a white highlight under white eyebrows, so I used pink instead. And I refined the shape of those eyebrows when I was doing it because I realized I got a little too big. At this point, I use a dotting tool and some, not sure if I used acrylic paint for this or if I used gouache. Probably gouache. No, maybe acrylic. And I added her eye shines. Then I came back and said, she needs a little bit more. So I pulled out the gouache, pulled out my brushes, pulled out the paint, the white reservoir, and I just started playing with details. Just refining things, making sure that I didn't go over anything, hopefully, that I did feel the need to be going over, but that one iris line was a little too heavy, so I refined it a lot. At this point, I think I even went even heavier, and then I refined it a little bit more with some white later. Oops. Although that other one nearly needed correcting a little bit. And it needed to be a little thicker, too. So what's your guys' favorite part of a doll customizing video? Is it the face up? Is it the clothes? In this case, there really isn't a whole lot of clothes because I sculpted it on. And, well, she's got tentacles. I have an idea for her though, to go over the transition, but we'll see if it works out. This part of the iris looked a little too square, so I wanted to make it a little bit more rounded, so I decided to correct the shape. First, I used a little bit of white, waited for that to dry, and then drew in the new shape. Yeah, that looks a lot better. That looks like it matches the other side a little bit more. And then I went ahead and filled it in with gray. And went back to refining the other side a little. Trying to make them match as much as I can. I think that at this point I had done another coat of Mr. Superclear. I think I did like 4, maybe 5 coats of Superclear throughout the face up. Then using my dotting tool, I added the same rainbow dots that I used for her nails and for her scales. And if you're wondering where the body was, it was on top of the cube while I was working. The cool thing about these tentacles is they can grasp a lot. It's time to rejoin the head with the body. Now at this point I've already done 2 coats of Mr. Superclear because the face up is done. I heated up her neck hole and the bottom of her head with a heating gun, with a heat gun. And then I carefully worked her back onto her body. This was kind of nerve-wracking because I didn't want to distort the face up. And at the same time, I didn't want to break the neck. And I didn't want anything else to pop off that wasn't supposed to pop off. There we go. Much better. Now, before we do the hair, I wanted to make her look shiny, but I didn't want to use Mr. Superclear Shiny because I want a little bit of a color shift. So I'm using Dragonfly Glaze. This is great. It makes it look like she came just out of the water, and yet there's a slight color shift. It's very subtle, but it really, really made it pop, everything pop. Once that was all dry, it's time to boil wash that hair. So I carefully boil wash her hair, wrapped her lower body with a towel to keep the lower body from getting wet, and started brushing out her hair and trimming it just a little bit. Now the top part, originally I was going to do space buns, but I decided that wasn't right, so I braided it instead. I had an idea that just felt better than doing a space bun. I love doing space buns on balls, and this hair would have totally done it for me. It really would have made a really nice space bun because it's not as slippery. But I like the braid better. So let's do the other side now. I combed it out. I'm going to trim just a little bit to make the other side match. And I braided. I have to say, at this point, even though my elbow was starting to hurt a lot, well, more sometimes than others, I've really enjoyed making this doll. I decided to add hair jewelry to cover the elastics, and I love them so much, I added them to her upper arms. It just pulled everything together. I just love the way it looks. She just looks like she's just so ready to go and talk to King Triton and maybe Ariel and her sisters. But there's one thing her tentacles are missing. They're missing their cups! You know how on the underside octopus tentacles have like little suction cups? Well, I made them out of clay and let them sit aside to dry. And while they were drying, I made a little crocheted little mini sarong for her to wear. And I tied that on. I made it out of teal to make just for the color difference. White just didn't feel right. Then I wrapped her around my ring light for fun, just to get her out of the way. And she didn't fall not once. I loved it. She's currently also sitting on one of my monitors. It's great. Once the tentacles are all cured, I did try painting them and said, these are going to break if they fall off. So I decided to make a mold. So I glued them down into a little Tupperware container, and using dragonskin silicone, 2-part silicone, I mixed it up outside, made a mold, and once the mold was all cured, I popped everything out, let it dry a little bit more, and I used UV resin in my UV light, and they came out kind of bubbly looking because there's little bubbles apparently in the silicone. But it's fine. I went ahead and made them anyway, and they look like little crystal jewels afterwards. Then I used a file to file off any imperfections on the underside and flatten them out. Then using UV gel nail polish, I painted them black, top coated them with no wipe top coat, and then I made them glisten with these beautiful chameleon glitters. Oh my god, they look like jewels, like real jewels. And I decided we had to go with more rainbow, so I used all 10 colors that I had. Then once that was all done and top coated, I glued them to the underside. Introducing Bubbles! I hope you enjoyed watching Bubbles' creation. I really love how she came out, and I hope you do too. Again, I am so sorry for how long it took, but unfortunately we're not going to see much content from me anymore, but I'm still around. In the meantime, what will you create today? Take care. Bye.